this is the wave. The youth unemployment rate in Thailand is pretty high. According to a local survey, the rate was 7 times higher than adult rate. Many adolescent laborers do not possess knowledge of labor law, and some of them do not even have labor contract. Save the Children Thailand Foundation started a youth employability program since 2018 by cooperation with international organization and Marriott hotels to increase opportunities for youth to give access to them to decent jobs. Jeremy now is Executive Director of Save the Children Thailand Guillaume Hashu and Chair of Thailand's Marriott Business Council, General Manager of the Pre-Opening Ritz-Carlton Bangkok, Tina Liu. Great to have you on the show, guys. It's very important for you to join the show. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yes, I think first question we have to go to Guillaume, or Will, we call you here. So just want to understand what causes the high youth unemployment rate in Thailand, and how has Save the Children supported to enhance youth employability?
Thanks, Frank. So maybe let me paint a bit the picture.
Yeah.
So the unemployment rate in Thailand is actually very low, right? The general one is around 1%, but for youth it's much higher. It's closer to 6%. And actually in some disadvantaged areas, it can go up to 15%, which is massive. So there's a number of reasons behind that. One of them is that, first, economic growth has slowed down in Thailand. It's around 2% last year, closer to 3% this year, but lower than it has been. So that means fewer opportunities. But mostly there's a gap between the skills that youth get through the education system and the needs from the private sector. You also have disruption from technology, so that means the jobs are changing and the skills are not changing as fast as the jobs. You've had the impact of COVID, that was massive and that is still felt today. And you also have a big difference between urban areas and rural areas that have been more impacted. And maybe I can also speak a little about the consequences of high unemployment. So first, the main risk is that the longer it lasts, the harder it gets for youth to be out of a job. They're not building their skills, they're not building their confidence, they don't have anything to put on the CV. So it's really something you need to address as soon as possible. And there's also a long-term impact. As a whole, Thai society is aging already, right? That's the case in many countries. And so when you have an aging society, you really need the youth to be as productive as possible. You need them to be in employment and, contribute to society. Otherwise, you kind of start to build the debt of the country. So it's really important. So what do we do at Save the Children to help with this? So our project, basically, we start with labor market analysis. So we work with vocational training institutes, with other education service providers. We work with the private sector, and we try to understand what are the skills that are needed by the different types of businesses, and what are the skills that are on offer currently. And then Save the Children is going to work with the Vocational Training Institute, and we're going to be looking at the curriculums, and we're going to try to improve them, make sure that they equip the youth with the skills that they need.
Yeah, and you talk about a lot of factors actually affecting why the unemployment rate for youth people is so high, and why the business sector could come in to help them too. So I think the second question, of course, we have to talk to Tina here. But why does Marriott make efforts to boost the youth employability with Save the Children? And how could your business help them, help the young generation to gain more ability in the market?
Okay. Well, first, in order to answer this question, let me explain a little bit about what the Marriott Thailand Business Council does. We are associates around the globe working for managed and franchised properties, and our goal is really to make positive and sustainable impact in the areas where we do business. So for us here in Thailand, that means working with the local communities here in the country. We have sustainability and social impact platforms, what we call 360, and this is what Serve 360, and this is what guides us in terms of how we do good. So, for example, we have North, South, East, West, and the two relevant that I'll explain for this purpose is North is nurture, and East is empower. So, when we spoke with Save the Children, we worked with on some ad hoc projects together in the past. We wanted to see what can we do that would be more meaningful and impactful and long-lasting, rather than just raising some funds, donating the money for maybe a short-term project. What could we do that would be a little bit more impactful? And we learned that they were already working in the South and doing wonderful work with life skills training and vocational training for disadvantaged youths. And here we saw this is a powerful opportunity for us to go in and help to further empower these children by lending our hospitality experience, expertise to the programming. So we were thinking we can do teach backs. What we ended up doing first is help to co-create curriculums that they can learn from, and then get even more involved as well by creating opportunities for them to actually come onto our properties and work. We have internships already existing in our properties.
So it's pretty important for the business side to help on the Save the Children project. Because
and also we want to engage deeply by volunteering as much as we can, and that's what we mean by nurturing. Nurturing the process. So it's a deeper engagement.
And how to make it impactful is the key. You talk about it too.
Exactly.
And the engagement part too. And because you told me before we started, you say that it's we are learning. You are learning from this project too. It's not just from the youth. It's from the business side to help them in a way. So third question, I just want to understand how have Save the Children's strategy, of course, to help to increase opportunity for youth people facing challenges of social cultural norms, because this is a very important topic everywhere, and particularly in Deep South and Meso too.
Yes, for sure. Yes, so the reality is, social cultural norms will be quite different from one context to another. But it means that certain group, will have fewer opportunities than others. So let's take the example of the Deep South. There typically, women are expected to play a certain role, and that means they will not be, they will have fewer opportunities than men. So they're expected to marry young. They are expected to have children, which means they need childcare, to stay at home, and generally, opportunities will be given to men first. So part of our project looks at those barriers and how we can address them. So for instance, we will start with a very careful selection process, and we will make sure that we prioritize women, or maybe youth with disabilities, or LGBT youth, right? So youth from very poor backgrounds. So we make sure that we have, we help them with a selection process. And then we're going to equip them with what we call life skills. So, it's what people generally call soft skills, but actually they're skills that you can use throughout your whole life, not just in, in the workplace. So that includes things like self-confidence, and it's feeling self-confidence, trusting yourself, but it's also expressing self-confidence when you meet people, and it's also knowing your strength. Right? Are you good at speaking? Are you good at thinking? And applying this to your work. And it's things such as also communication, how to behave in a workplace. When you've never worked in a very professional environment, you need to know how to present yourself. So all those skills are very important. And so maybe I can share with you a bit of a story of one of our participants. So, we had this amazing young woman called Fatin, who she was graduating from high school from a very poor background. And so she knew she couldn't go to university. She knew it wasn't right for her. And she was keen to continue her studies. So she enrolled in the program. So it meant also that she needed support. and she was living 60 kilometers from the project. So first, of course, we enrolled her. We paid for her transportation to come and study in Patani, because otherwise she couldn't afford it. And then when she joined, it was very interesting because she was a bit shy, reserved, she didn't talk much. But then gradually, by attending all the youth camp that we set up, where we discussed with them all those different skills, she built confidence, and the change was amazing. And so by the end of the training, she was convinced that she wanted to set up her own business. So she applied for a small seed grant, 50,000 baht, that we granted to her. She bought 2 sewing machines, and she set up her tailoring business, a fashion business. She sells through Instagram. She's got 5,000 followers now, and she sells across Thailand. And it's so successful that she's now hiring her aunt and her sister, who came back from Malaysia, to work for her. So, they're doing the packing, they're sewing buttons. And what's amazing is that, she's thriving, and she broke that cycle of poverty.
And we also received training at the beginning of the program. So, the properties, the teams, before receiving these vulnerable youths, we also go through a training program on, managing our expectations, how to work together, and make them feel comfortable, really. So we didn't take for granted that these are just, hires coming in and were necessarily at levels like others. Because even something as simple as time management is new to them. So it's not something that we can take for granted like we do normally. You hire someone, we expect be on time, right? But this is something we had to go through for training as well in terms of managing expectations and working with the vulnerable youths. Yeah. And they had orientation before coming to work. They also came to have, the youths came to look at the properties, make sure they felt comfortable before committing.
And this cooperation between 2 organizations really had the breakthrough in the social cultural norm, as in you give the opportunity to them, the inspiration to them, and at the end they had their career at the end according to this story. And of course, as what you said, it's mutual benefits, mutual learning. It's not just the youth learning from.
What I would highlight is that it's very hard to make this work, especially when you have norms that are difficult to change and to address. So what's key and what we are always calling for is this very close collaboration between all the actors, right? It's the private sector, employers, it's the vocational training institutes, and it's us as facilitators. And this is what's so fantastic about our partnership with Marriott, is that it's aligned with their business objectives, right? But we have actual, deep personal investment of the staff that are involved. They want to make this work. And as Tina was saying, it does require a bit of extra work, but there is this investment, it pays off. And so that's what we, hope to, promote with the private sector. And we hope to have, more partnerships in different industries with that kind of investment from the employers.
So all the conviction and efforts work at the end for 2 projects here. So maybe Will and Tina, please walk me through your initiatives, particularly in Meso and Deep South, which create, of course, diverse opportunities for young generation. You have projects together, of course, since 2022 and around 2024. Yes.
So we started our work on employability in the Deep South in 2018, and Save the Children was receiving funding from the US government, actually, USAID, their development arm, which we're very grateful for. We partnered with several vocational training institutes. Youth were coming from the 4 Deep South provinces. And in 2022, Marriott joined us. So they brought that stronger connection with the private sector, offered the internships, offered financial support. So it was very, multifaceted partnership. And so this year the question was, okay, we want to expand. We want to help youth with, facing different challenges, a different context. And so we expanded to Mesot. And there, the context is that we have a lot of migrant youth who have few opportunities. they've experienced discrimination, they've experienced disrupted education with COVID, some of them might have expected violence, so a complete different set of challenges. We've started our labour market assessment with the support from Marriott, so now we kind of have a sense of what the youth want to do, what are the needs, and so we are starting this course on hospitality, and we're hoping to enroll the youth in June. So it's we're nearly there, but we don't want to stop there. So I think there's a number of next steps we'd like to go to. So first, it's maybe to bring other industries to our partnership in Marriott, expand to other areas. And it's also to think about green jobs.
Yeah, I think green transition and green jobs is what employers always ask for, and the government always want the transition fastly move forward. So just want to understand from your part.
Yeah, so for us, more specifically about the program, the Marriott Thailand hotels, we fundraised and we pledged 2.6 million to the program partnership with Save the Children. And in our first year, there was a lot of learnings. And firstly, what we were able to achieve together was we got 323 vulnerable youth through life skills training. So without even touching them, we help them to be able to learn on how to navigate, themselves through hopefully youth employment pathways. We were able to achieve 239 vocational certifications. So they went through the different curriculums and they were actually received vocational certification where they can use this to present and hopefully get someone to notice and present a job opportunity. And then the last part, I think about 139, more than half of the people who received vocational training received certificates. And then we were able to fully sponsor 8 children at our properties for a couple of months where they were able to live with and learn from our associates at Marriott. So I thought that was very meaningful. We learned a lot from them. They told us what they wanted to learn more, how the program could have been more beneficial to maximize their potential. And we actually took that learning and injected it into the program development for this year in Marriott. And this is how different curriculums, more quality curriculums, the iJobs, is all coming about. And this is through what we see from the feedback from the children and from the market needs, as you mentioned.
So life skill program first, and of course give them the opportunity to get to feed themselves into the market needs. Yeah. This is very important. Push a little bit. So how about, of course, we talk about all the positive side, the achievement that we have right now. So how about the difficulties that you've seen in this journey since 2018 and the cooperation in between? Because of course you talk about the number here. It's very important, of course, you give the opportunity to more than 200 youth in the conflict zones. So just want to understand how to shape them, how to give them an opportunity to participate in the internship program. Because right now I maybe just see the single digit here, right? So how would you boost that opportunity, that channel to go into the internship program, maybe from
Okay.
Tina
Well,
or from
the numbers are not great, but don't forget this is fully funded. So we actually transfer them from their homes to our properties and give them full room and board and jobs to work over a period of time. And also from our first year, it was very new for the children. They didn't know what to expect. They don't often leave home or leave their families. So to get their interest, and awareness into hospitality as a career, they don't even know that service industry is one of the largest industries, for Thailand. So getting them to come out was already a success for us, and seeing that some of them actually went home afterwards, but some of them changed their I think future pathways, and they stayed in the bigger cities, stayed on. We had one gentleman who stayed on working a longer period in our hotel. And what we learned from them from that period was that it wasn't long enough. This isn't magic. We don't go in there and over one training course change a way of thinking, change a life that quickly. But we have to start somewhere, and you have to continue building that awareness. And one of the feedbacks that we got from them already was that we need longer periods of training. So that's why for this second year of the program, we're trying to really focus on quality and really giving them the training that they are looking for, the training that we think that they're able to do, and also expanding the time that they have exposure with us in the parts that we can contribute personally. But one of the challenges, as you were asking, I think that we found in our experience is also matching the reality of what they want to do, their dreams, versus the ability. So for example, they wanted jobs that for the hospitality industry, we require better skills in English. They wanted to be speaking with guests, so forth. They dream about this international environment, which is great. It's great to see that they have these aspirations, and we want to work with them to get them there one day. But maybe in 1 month coming out from home, working in the hotels, it's going to be a little bit difficult managing the expectation on putting them out there to communicate with international visitors. So that was one learning, is matching the expectations of what they want to do and what maybe they were ready for. But what can we do to help get them ready?
Yeah. And how about from the facilitator side?
Well, I want to say, yes, sometimes the number might look small, but the reality is, so there's a cost, right? And what's important, and that's how we work, not just on this topic, with every topic, is that we need the understanding and the evidence of how you address those complex challenges. So I would argue with those 8 internships, what we've learned with Marriott was amazing. And it's the kind of learning we could not have got without, heavy investment and heavy subsidized internships. So, and then these learnings, we can apply them to the rest of the program. And the reality is, as you said, if they are interested by hospitality, there are so many options, right? And usually you don't start in a Marriott property. So it's normal. But the learning that we have mean that we can equip all the other ones through the curriculum with the right skills. And we can start to fix all those different dimensions, the length of the internships, think about the language skills, manage expectations. So all that is extremely valuable. So we're going to apply all of this in our new course in Marriott. And that's the reality of our work. It's always complex issues that have compounded dimensions, and so there's limited funding, and one of my calls is that we need more investment from everyone, not just Marriott, the whole private sector, and that's how we're going to address those challenges one by one.
And I think establishing the awareness from the beginning is
Exactly.
already very important.
Exactly what I was going to say. I mean, this is harder to measure, right? It's not about just that one statistic at the end. It's about, first of all, raising that awareness to a whole community that didn't know about the hospitality sector, service sector, beyond the small shops that they had in their community. Because in these areas, they don't have international hotels or well-established maybe even restaurants or strong service industry representation beyond what they set up as a community for themselves.
And that's how, by scaling this up, we will start to reduce that high unemployment rate, especially in the Deep South, especially in Marriott.
So based on your experience, of course, in NGO and business sector, I would like to understand in Thailand, what should the government do to lower the youth unemployment rate, or rather give them more opportunities to get into the market, maybe from real place?
Sure. So I think the first thing is government can play the convener role between the different stakeholders, which is the role Save the Children has played in this project. So working with the private sector, working with the education providers, and all the government agencies, and getting those stakeholders to talk to one another. But more specifically, I'd say there's kind of three dimensions they can influence and support. So one is around skills, ensuring that the skills match the needs from the private sector, but also increasing access to the vocational training institutes and increasing equal access, right? So thinking what are the barriers, for instance, for women and how they can increase, women attendance. And it's also providing lifelong training, right? So it doesn't stop at a certain age. It has to be over the course of your life. The second point is the connection with the private sector, matching those needs. So we need government to help work with industries, all the different industries, to look at the curriculum and improve the content. That also includes the green skills and the green jobs, right? And in that space, you need to be even more proactive, right? So you need to be a bit forward thinking. What are the green industries we want to have that we need if we want to achieve net zero, for instance, and put that in place early. And I think there's a third dimension, which is around the overall system and the incentives. So for instance, we need grants, we need scholarships, we need loans for some of the youth. There can also be tax incentives, and they can be targeted at specific regions, for instance, the least developed one, or specific industries.
How about corporate side?
Yeah, so for me, it's very similar, and a lot of the points that we covered already. The awareness, raising that awareness is huge. Providing proper, I want to say education, but minimal vocational training, accessibility to that, and then also bridging that gap, the connection between the people that are looking for jobs and the people who are looking for the human resources to fill the jobs, and there's a mismatch. There's a need on both parts that we can easily fulfill by connecting, and unless that happens, no one benefits, right? And if it does happen, then it's a win-win.
So it means that, of course, the government should give more improvement and a platform on education, on a matching between NGO and business. And how about the lifelong training? This is very important to give them equal access to education, to all the platforms.
Yeah.
It's very
and not just from government, as Will mentioned, from various stakeholders, the private sector like us as well.
Right. Very good time to talk to you guys. And I think please keep going, and of course all the hard work in conflict zones from both sides is very beneficial to our society, to business opportunities, and to the market too. Thank you so much for your time. Guillaume Hashu, Executive Director of the Children Thailand, and Tina Liu, of course, Chair of Thailand Marriott Business Council and General Manager of the pre-opening Ritz-Carlton Bangkok. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.